story, we're pleased to be joined by Zack Taylor, border security expert and chairman of the National Association of Former Border Patrol Agents. Thanks for calling in again, Zack. Great to talk to you.
Good morning, John.
All right, I want to get your reaction. I mean, we've heard Perry threaten this, that he was going to send the National Guard troops down there to the border. Now the South Texas paper, The Monitor, is reporting that Perry will deploy about 1,000 National Guard troops down to the border. At this point, what exactly do you think they can do?
Well, that remains to be seen. I'm hearing that they're going to be deployed north of the border, up in the ranch land. Now, if you understand how the border there works, you've got a lot of people concentrated right along the Rio Grande River. Essentially, Highway 83 parallels the river, and they're going to be working north of that all the way up into the ranch land into Brooks County. There's a big desert. It's called the Wild Horse Desert that runs pretty much from Laredo east to the coast and north of Falfurrias. And there's not too much in between. And if it's where they're sending them, that means that a large number of people are getting past the corridor south of Highway 83. And the people in the ranch lands up there are calling in and saying, look, this is crazy. Now, the agents are telling us, and what I'm hearing from the agents, is that they're overwhelmed down at the border. And what that means is they're only catching a percentage of what they see cross the border, and the rest is making it past them. So what happens is, if they're picked up at the border, say in the Highway 83 area, taken by vehicle north, put out in this desert area to walk around the existing checkpoints, they're going through this ranch land.
And it doesn't seem like putting the National Guard, I mean, it seems like the point of doing this would be to send a message maybe, or to stop people from actually crossing the border in the first place. But if what you're saying is true and they're being deployed to more inland parts of Texas, they're not going to do anything to stop people from crossing the border.
But you don't understand. You're going to put the Texas National Guard against the United States government. The government is telling the people to come. They're telling them they're going to get a permiso if they get here. When that person crosses the river and walks up to a Border Patrol agent, they're going to be taken to a processing facility, and then they're going to be given a permiso to be here and work in the meantime. So how is the Texas National Guard going to prevent that?
Yeah, that was my point. How are they going to prevent that? What is this going to do? What is it? What is this? So this is just optics at this point. This is just Perry doing something to do something?
I'm sure he's responding to a lot of pressure.
Okay. Okay. All right. Let's talk a little bit more about the Border Patrol agents themselves. Of course, they're on the ground. Give us an update in terms of what you're hearing from the folks who are really on the front lines of this.
Well, it sounds like chaos. The helicopter will be working with a group of agents in a fairly small area, and it's 10 here, 20 here, 60 there, 12 here, 5 there. And it's just like he's just running back and forth to different agents that are chasing groups that have come across the border. And essentially in the area between Ansel Dewis and Brownsville, you've got the river levees there. So what they're trying to do is keep them south of the main river levee and work them in the immediate river area so they don't get up into the populated area of the cities. And that's what I'm hearing. And they're just apparently, if they're putting the National Guard up north, that means that they're only catching a small percent of what they're seeing down there in the river area.
All right, so it's still very concerning from that report. And also, I know there's been a lot of concern for the Border Patrol agents and their exposure to new illnesses. Have you heard any updates on that? Is there anything that the government is doing to better protect the actual agents?
Actually, on the contrary. The government is doing what's called a controlled event. They are keeping the truth from the agent and the public together. They're not letting the agents know what is being diagnosed, what some of these people have got. We know some agents have come down with a strange form of pneumonia that is debilitating. In other words, if they get it and it's not handled very soon, they're going to have permanent disability from this type of pneumonia. And what I'm hearing, and I haven't confirmed it yet, that there's at least 2 that are hospitalized right now with that type of pneumonia. What else is going on, we don't know. Of course, from what I'm hearing from the agents, is almost completely contrary to what Department of Homeland Security and Health and Human Services is putting out. So there's a big spin on this, and it's called disinformation and political deception. They're showing us children, some of them drinking, looks like 6-year-old drinking water while the Border Patrol agent is processing him at the vehicle on the border, while we're hearing that inside of these detention facilities we have obvious criminals like MS-13 gang members, and that if these people don't have, inside of these detention facilities we have obvious criminals like MS-13 gang members, and that if these people don't have, these gang members don't have a criminal record inside the United States, that they're turning them loose into the United States population from places as far away as Boston and Minnesota.
And what about
Michigan.
And what about the you know, we've heard with this administration tends to lead on whistleblowers. Is there any discussion about that, about maybe more of a concerted effort from some of these folks?
Screening of these aliens, that's following to U.S. Public Health Service and the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And these people are the ones that are being threatened with criminal prosecution if they talk to the press. Well, what is it that is so important to prosecute a medical doctor about illegal aliens that he's treating? To keep what is it so important to keep from the American people?
Well, it sounds eerily familiar to what took place at the VA medical centers, but that's a story for another day. Zach, while we have you here, I wanted to talk a little bit about the weather and how this might be playing a role in everything. Before we started the interview during the commercial break, we were discussing the change in the weather. You said it's about 109 degrees now in Arizona. Might expect to see as we move ahead here during the month of July and into August?
Well, traditionally in the summertime, what happens is the smugglers, both the drug and alien smugglers, start working more primarily at night. And because of the time of year, the nighttime span is shorter. In other words, it gets dark here later and the sun rises earlier. So they have about a 7 or 8 hour window when it's hot to move through. When we have the monsoons, they have two advantages. One, if there's lightning and or rain in the area, the air assets stay on the ground. And it's cooler during the daytime, so they can make more distance from the border. The idea for them is to get past the 25-mile line, in other words, the immediate border area for the Border Patrol, and get further into the interior of the United States to get picked up and taken by car or truck, van, whatever, into the interior of the United States. So the weather plays a part in that the aircraft are absolutely essential to the Border Patrol being successful because of the terrain here. It's mostly mountainous. There's no roads in a lot of areas, and it's difficult to get in and out of. There's places where you can only get in and out of it in a helicopter. So if without the air asset, even a good Border Patrol agent is going to be behind the curve. It goes down to when you get a group of 60 people and you've got one agent, it's difficult to surround them.
There's only so much, you can do with that type of ratio, one agent to 60 people. You mentioned things getting worse in a very difficult situation. Of course, we're talking to Zack Taylor, a border security expert and chairman of the National Association of Former Border Patrol Officers. He's talking to us from the Arizona-Mexico border. Now, Zack, a lot of the attention we've talked about here and a lot of the nation's attention right now, of course, is focused on the Rio Grande Valley. How much different is the situation in Arizona compared to what we've seen more recently in Texas?
Well, Texas is flat. You have the River Cane, and you have a little bit of public land there on the border, but most of it is private land. And as soon as you get up out of the border area and from the agricultural fields, you're in the city of Hidalgo, you're in the city of Rio Grande City, you're in Brownsville, you're in Weslaco, you're in Alamo. And I spent 12 years down there working that area before I came to Arizona. And it's a very difficult area to work because it's such a short distance from the river into the populated area.
And that's probably why we see this area targeted so much by this particular group of people, this recent surge we've had. Zack Taylor, great to be with you again, sir, and thank you for your insight. We hope everything goes as well as possible down there on the Arizona-Mexico border. I'm John Bachman. Much more ahead here on America's Forum right after this.